North Korea on Sunday condemned the latest U.S. sanctions placed on the country, saying they could block a path to denuclearization. Reuters reported that North Korea's foreign ministry said in a statement that the U.S. is expecting North Korea to get rid of its nuclear weapons following the latest sanctions. It will count as its greatest miscalculation, and it will block the path to denuclearization on the Korean peninsula forever, a result desired by no one. The U.S. Treasury Department last week placed sanctions on 3 senior North Korean officials, accusing them of human rights abuses. So, in my previous time I spoke about this, I said that it would harm relations, and I don't consider myself some expert on conduct of countries as it pertains to each other, but if you presumably are American and you take yourself out of the U.S. bubble and you ask, well, would I feel good if I was much smaller than some other country, but I had this advantage or this thing that was going to help me, and it was going to cause them to want to speak to me, but at the same time, as they're telling me that they want to be allies or at least not be confrontational with each other in that regard, they're putting sanctions on my top people. So when you start applying the common sense of, hey, what is the other person thinking? When I extend my hand to them and then slap them in the face concurrently, you start realizing why I say the U.S. is run by fools, because these are people who have the appearance of wanting to do something that was good. See, one of the few areas I gave Trump credit for was with North Korea, because I liked the summit. I thought that it could lead to something that would eventually be in the form of a treaty or an agreement, whatever, that would mean we would never have any conflict with them whatsoever, other than maybe an exchange of words. But what's happened in the time since then is that, not even since then, you had the National Security Advisor talk about wanting regime change on TV. You would say he's dumb enough to do that there. But you have to realize, when there's no governing philosophy in an administration, with Trump possibly wanting peace and then his national security advisor wanting regime change, and there's no repercussions for people that are under the president that don't agree with his position, but also choose not to enforce it. So it's a difference between just having a different position and also enforcing it. That you have a problem, and that's exactly what has been the case since last year. So we're going to keep having heightened tensions. I think we're getting closer and closer to just canceling that summit. And I had a person who last year said that there was no way the U.S. and North Korea were going to go to war, and I really want to believe them. But you keep doing this and you see what happens, and it's not going to be pretty. I'm telling you, I've had my problems with Trump, obviously. I've spoken about my contempt for the more recent presidents, but in this particular area, I really thought we could get something different. And all we've seen to have obtained that wasn't here during Obama's tenure is the heightened rhetoric, and one meeting where they signed a bunch of papers that are kind of ambiguous and not really stating of what their intent is, at least as far as having an overall plan of, hey, we're going to make this happen, this is the culmination of what we've planned. None of that. So it was a good start, and everything that's happened since then has been trash, including these sanctions. And look, the other part of this is it really shows the hypocrisy of the U.S. The same country that is backing the biggest outbreak of cholera in modern history, the war in Yemen, where you have 85,000 children under the age of 5 that have died from starvation and bombings and all the other things that Saudis have done over there. That same country that's supporting that regime is telling me that it takes human rights abuses, again, while torturing people here, seriously. And people wonder why I say we live in the Twilight Zone, because in no other world would you have a media where the reporters can report this And a lot of times you're going to see it on CNN or any of these other places and not mention that. So it's a bunch of hypocrisy. The U.S. is acting stupid. North Korea is, it's justified. Look at it from their perspective and you'll get it.